break it all down. The Vault Studio, the best show in town. Show in town, let's show in town, let's show in town. Lights on, mic check, game time, let's go. Jay George, Scotty running the show. Rock on the mix, keeping it
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Vault Studio NFL podcast. I'm your host, J.A., and I am joined by a plethora of large human beings, including the big Spanakopter and Scotty Boy. How are you, boys?
Good.
I forgot how much our new intro track
Mate,
just rocks the fuck.
It actually slapped me in the face, and I was not ready for it.
Poof.
Shout out to Tommy Arthur. I went and watched, just quick before, we got a big show, so we got to get into it. Shout out to our sponsors, Sporting Globe, Chenside Park. Love Dares down there.
Very
Get down
crisp
there,
tonight.
get a meal, get a beer, or a hard solo, however you
Watch the
feel.
footy, go Blues.
Watch the footy. Blues start tomorrow night, so I'll be sitting there.
No one cares about AFL.
All my
We're at the
fingernails
most.
off. But no, shout out to Tommy Arthur. I went down and watched his baseball game. He played in the grand final on Sunday.
Ooh.
Unfortunately, got done, and he managed to. This is just for him because I know he listens. He managed to hit the shit out of two balls about 3.5 meters. So I was
Oh,
real
wow.
proud of him.
Just a couple of ground balls.
Couple of absolute sconons he got on it. But yeah, they got done unfortunately.
Hey.
But it was good to see him.
How good is free agency?
Or
Mate, free agency is loaded, and we're the anxiety around this episode with how much we have to talk about. I'm just going to let you guys know there are going to be some signings we don't talk about. I don't care about the fifth string D tackle that the Titans signed. We're not going to talk about it. It'll come up over the coming weeks if he plays well. If he doesn't, we'll never
But
talk
if
about
you
it again.
think like we've missed something, put it in the comments.
Yes, put it in the comments, and then we can respond to you on there. I've noticed we had a couple of slander comments this week from random people.
I like it.
And then when you respond saying, one guy wrote, don't you guys have your own sport that you can be wrong about?
Your
And
own
I-
league.
Yeah, and I
Oh,
responded,
no, we're not wrong with that league. If you want to tune in for our thoughts on that,
yeah, that'll be a special
that's a
edition.
paywall.
And then I wrote back saying, what are we wrong about? Let us know. Hit us with some wisdom, and he just never responded. So
Okay.
he must really have some great wisdom.
Probably a
if he
bot.
can,
Who knows?
We also have a new drop for Brocky when he wants to interject himself. You'll hear this. That means Brocky's coming in.
That's not obnoxious at all.
No, it's fantastic. If you know,
And if you know, you know.
That's- George doesn't know. That's the others.
I've got an idea.
You got an idea, yeah. But let's get straight into the free agency because this is going to be a loaded show.
This is my favorite time of the year, by the way. I just want to say that
100%.
off the top.
And
It's loaded.
The excitement for like a pretty vanilla free agent class.
I think Campbell's going number 4. I just don't think it's even part.
Okay.
Okay, we're playing
We've
one
had
of
a
our clips.
malfunction.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
was trying
The
to get that guy's
excitement for free agency for a vanilla class is just sky high. Like
There's
the
been
amount of things that happened.
There's been a lot going
Yeah.
on. Too much, in fact.
And let's start with the Chicago Bears. So obviously we know Ben Johnson's come over from Detroit as the head coach. One of the big things we talked about with Ben Johnson is he going to have the Lions' strength has been their offensive line the last few years. Their ability to run the ball and dominate the line of scrimmage on offense has been the real key to their success.
Agreed.
Keep Jared Goff free, let him throw the football, and they went all out. They started by trading for Jonah Jackson from the Los Angeles Rams. He was a 4-year starter at the Lions.
Yep.
His last year was a Pro Bowl lineman. He went to the Rams for the money. It didn't work out. He was injured last year a lot and didn't play that well when he played. So he's going back to a comfortable situation. So that improves the guard position, first of all. They then signed Joe Tooney. They trade for Joe Tooney for a 4th-round pick next year. So not even this year's 4th-round pick.
That's very cheap for a high-end
2026.
offensive lineman.
He's a little bit older, but he definitely shores up the O line.
Yeah.
He's got a couple of years in him. And then they went to free agency and they signed Drew Dahlman, who was the best
Huge.
center of the draft. 3 years, $42 million, 28 guaranteed. We talked
Really
about
good
Drew
run blocking
Dahlman.
center, too. He's really good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they went in. They've already got good tackles. Their left tackle,
Darnell.
Brandon Jones, is
Darnell
good. And
Wright.
Darnell Wright
Yeah.
is a top 10 pick coming into his second season, which he will improve. I think he actually showed signs he'll be a good player.
Yep.
Although he does get beat, offensive line's really hard, and it's hard at the pro level
Yeah.
when you come out of college. So those 3 signings, it's a clear sign that Ben Johnson knows what he wants to build, and he's starting to build it straight away.
And the caliber of players, Tooney and Dahlman are both very, very smart footballers.
Mm.
Yep.
They will diagnose the opposite front, and that is essential to keep your second-year starting quarterback, who's an absolute gun, on his feet. So smart players, good players that will shore up the O-line. I mean, the Bears have done, they got the coach that everyone wanted, and they've shored up the O-line.
Which was their glaring deficiency last year.
Yep, 100%. He was
Can't do anything wrong at this point.
second most sacked quarterback in NFL history, or third maybe. But it was
They got
well
their
up there.
they got their weapons. They got a Dunze. They got this. They got that. So that they really need to do that.
I think it's a great move. And then again, like Swift is a good running back behind a good offensive line. If they can block for him, he is a serviceable running back in this league. And
He
he
do work.
showed that at Philadelphia.
good. And further to Scott's point, good offensive lineman. But Johnson will be able to insert his scheme with smart guys. They'll be able to run their traps and all the stuff that they can do.
100%.
It's gonna work really well.
Jonah Jackson, Joe Tooney, and Drew Dolman are all known to be athletic offensive linemen. So you can do a lot. People don't know what an athletic offensive lineman is. They will use, so pulling an offensive lineman is when you actually, he doesn't go forward, he goes back and he pulls across the formation and will block a guy on the other side of the line. You have to be at the NFL level super athletic to do that as an offensive lineman. That's just factual. You have to be. All three of these guys can do that at a really good level. And Dorman's also a brawler. He will absolutely brawl with guys and incredibly intelligent. So great move. They also, Grady Jarrett got released by the Falcons as a salary, as a cap casualty, and they signed him straight away. I think Grady Jarrett's best days are behind him. So when you add a veteran big man in the middle of your defense, again, understanding the assignment of what you guys need.
Yep.
I think it's a great move.
Works in well with Sweat as well. So now they're just getting beefier and more penetration on the D line.
I love the signing of Odeyingbo. I love that signing.
Yep.
I think he's going to be a really, really good, edge rusher for them too. He's going to
Where
be
was
really
he from? I didn't see where he was from last year.
Titans.
Oh no, Colts. Sorry, he was from the Colts.
Colts,
Yeah, he was from the Colts. He's a bigger edge rusher.
Yep.
But again, can play the run, can pass rush to a good level at the NFL. Can go into a 3-tech in pass rush situations.
Yep.
I agree. They've done a great job. I said free agency is not where you win Super Bowls from, but the fact that what this is telling me is that Ben Johnson understands the deficiencies of his team. He understands the successes of where he was at Detroit, and he's implementing. He's trying. Now, some of these might not work out, but at least he's trying to go.
He's
in the
definitely
right
trying to
direction.
put his stamp on the team. I agree with that.
100%. All right, let's move on to the Washington Commanders.
Yeah.
So they traded for Debo last week, which we know about. They re-signed Zach Ertz, which we all didn't hate. I don't think the Zach Ertz re-signing.
I was certain he was going to retire. I
Yeah.
didn't hate it because he went back for zero money, but I was certain he was going to retire.
Yeah.
$6 million a year, which
And a bit
nothing.
of a comfort security blanket like for Jaden
For
Daniels.
Daniels. That's
So,
true.
Yeah,
That's true.
fair enough.
They then traded for Laramie Tunsil, and I'm gonna say what they gave up for Laramie Tunsil. They gave up a 2025 4th round pick. Sorry, they traded Tunsil and a 4th round pick, the Texans, for a 3rd round pick this year and two 7th round picks this year, a 2nd round next year, and a 4th round.
What?
Next year.
Yep.
That is so much.
And next year's allegedly a loaded draft compared to this year.
Yeah.
So to get that
second
extra,
round pick next year is fucking insane. I didn't know that.
Also a loaded offensive line draft this year. There's a lot of depth in the offensive line.
Yep.
So I like Laramie Tunsil. I just think they also re-signed Bobby Wagner, which kind of marries into this. Does lightning strike twice with old guys? You
Not
can't just
typically.
sign a bunch of old guys and be like, we're going to be good again.
Not typically in my experience.
No, I don't think they're done. I think this is, and we've all said this, they're going to have a much harder schedule next year. Their quarterback's going to have a lot more film. Like we saw it this year with CJ Stroud. They had a lot more film on what they needed to do to disrupt him, and they utilized that. Now he played well down the stretch because he's a good player, and I think Jaden Daniels will be similar. But I don't think Washington are going to be that good. They're certainly not going to compete with the Eagles next year. I think
And
the Eagles are much
Washington sort of fell into the playoffs as well. Had a few games at the end of the year that went their way.
the
missed
Chicago
field goal.
game where they threw the Hail Mary and
Oh, that
won
was
at the end of the
earlier.
game.
But like a missed field goal against Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
So they went on then, and then the Lions genuinely just shit the bed. Played the worst game in the divisional
game.
The
Yeah.
Lions played
Mm.
one of the worst playoff games I've ever seen a team play, and still almost had a chance. to win the game.
And then obviously ran into the juggernaut of Philly, where that was probably the first game Philly put everything together and absolutely smoked them. So, I personally, I think with the I was going to call them the Redskins, with the Commanders, they're going to be the darling team of the NFL for the whole offseason. And I think that they've set themselves up with the signings that they have and all the cap room and where they've used it for a huge failure. This is nothing but red flags for me.
I tend to agree.
This reeks of red flags everywhere. So,
Yeah.
giving up all those picks for an old fat Laramie Tunsil,
Who struggled last year.
trading for a Fat Debo, who struggled last year.
Yep.
Like, it's just got disaster written all over it. And one thing I agree with you, sophomore slump for Jaden Daniels is 100% on the card.
Yeah, I think so.
One thing, the Texans had one of the worst O-lines last year, and they gave up their best O-lineman.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's not something like, if they don't want to keep him in the building
There's
and they're
something
a
to that.
terrible O-line, there must be something there.
So
So
I couldn't even get a back end first round pick for him this year.
yeah,
I know they get a second next year. Brocky?
Let me just jump in here.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Tunzel, but if you're going to be on your third team under the age of 30 years old, there's definitely something happening in the locker room. Yes, he's been good in the past, but there's
I think
definitely
he's 31.
Yeah, no, he's 30. There's definitely some underlying issues,
Mm.
which he's good, but he's slow. He's getting slower, and you only get slower in this league as well.
I can tell you what the issues are.
Amen, bro.
And the issues aren't necessarily his fault. He's valuable. He has value. The issue is he plays left tackle, he's experienced, and he's played at a high level.
Yep.
There is not enough tackles in the league. So Washington go, obviously Texans are ready to move on. They're like, we need to bring fresher guy in. Maybe they've got a young guy they want to put in there that they think can be like at that level.
Grow
If not-
with.
Yeah, they can get
Yeah.
better.
And probably be cheaper.
Yeah,
as well.
like you've got Laramie Tunsil on the decline, and maybe they've got a young guy who's ascending, and they want to just give him more reps and let him play.
Or they draft, because it's
Or they
obviously
draft.
an O-line draft
Yeah.
this year. Yep.
So the reason that Tunsil's been on 3 teams, when he was drafted, when old Bong Mask fell to the
To the
Dolphins,
yeah.
Yeah.
he was an all-pro player. Then when he was traded, I think he was traded for 2 first-round picks plus a
I
few
think
more
so,
to the
yeah.
Texans. And you said it before earlier.
By his own
He
admission, he's
said,
like, yeah,
I would have
myself."
traded me for that.
Yeah.
And then he's played very well until this season at the Texans. So the reason he's going to his third team is because the Texans, he still holds value,
Yep.
and other teams value him. Washington value him higher than the Texans, and they felt it was a good deal. Tackles in this league will always have value for longer
Why-
than they should,
Why is he the one that gets moved then, out of all the left tackles?
because the Texans are willing to do it. The Texans don't value him as highly as Washington do.
That's what-
I don't think it's a
that's
good
the-
move.
That's the Brock's point.
Yeah.
There's something else going on.
Yeah.
Potentially, but he's never had any issues that I know of anyway. And we're not in the
Who's next? Sir?
Let's talk Raiders, and let's start with the trade. Geno Smith gets traded for, it was a third
It
round
was a
pick?
third round pick.
A
Yeah.
third round pick from Seattle.
Pick 92.
He
or
goes
94.
back to his friend with Pete Carroll,
Yeah,
obviously. Can I just say the biggest implications I think this move has, and we'll talk about Seattle coming up, but implications this has on Raiders are they're now not drafting Shedeur Sanders in that first round, in that top 10.
No.
No.
This,
They've got
this
their quarterback.
Yeah, this clears them from having to reach for a quarterback. I think it's a good move purely because now I think Cam Ward's going to go 1, 2, or 3. I don't think he's going to be available for them at 6. But I think this clears them. If Shedeur's there, they're like, don't worry, we're happy to wait till next year. They've got Geno. They can roll.
Gino's a known commodity too.
He's
Like,
a prolific passer. He can throw he can generate yards. I didn't hate it at all. I don't know.
I think for me, obviously, this is basically the Seattle Raiders, but I think for Pete Carroll to come in, and this is a culture move, he gets the coach installing the culture can only go so far. The players need to lead that as well.
Sure.
And Gino's beloved in the locker room. Like Seattle didn't want to let him go. It was a contract.
Beloved by his teammates. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
And Mike McDonald. I think obviously he was Carroll's guy. They're very close outside of football. And I think this is, hey, he's going to bring Carroll's message as well.
Yep.
To turn that whole franchise around.
Mhm.
I think this is like a 3-year plan. You install the culture, and then Gino moves on, Carroll moves on, and the successes will be probably there next year. And that's how the club turns around.
Yeah, Chip Kelly's calling the offense there, isn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
He's
yeah.
okay there.
Yeah.
They also signed Alex Kappa, who was, maybe the
A
second
mid-
or best guard in the free agency.
Yeah.
Like he was there was a lot of people wanting Alex Kappa.
You got him cheap.
They got him very cheap. They re-signed Max Crosby. At the time, he broke the record for non-quarterbacks. It was a 3-year extension, $106.5 million and $91.5 million guaranteed.
Wow.
This is a guy who last season we were all pretty,
High on him, yeah. Depoy. I had him as my Depoy.
Like
yeah.
we liked him going into the season. He didn't play that well, and he was injured. But from all reports, he played injured. He's a team guy. He got Antonio Pierce hired. He probably got him fired too. In fairness, but you keep those guys in the building. I don't have
He's
any issue
he's
with
well
that.
liked by everyone in the building.
And he's a very good football player.
yeah. Oh, there's no doubt about that.
Played hurt all last year. Too.
And all the shit outside of football's died off completely.
Yeah.
So I think he respects Carroll, and I think Carroll respects him, and they're gonna like that defense is gonna be humming.
I think they'll be good. I think they will be good. They also
Cattle
signed
will
Jeremy.
definitely get the best out of him. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They also signed Jeremy Chin from Washington.
Huge.
That's a good pickup. I
Yep.
like that.
Yeah, 2 years, 16 million. Like this is a safety, but he's a hybrid safety. He
Yep.
plays slot corner, can play deep safety, can also play nickel linebacker.
Comes
He
down,
does-
hits like a
Yeah,
freight
plays well
train.
against the
and that's
run,
what you want. You want hitters. You want
Yep.
guys that are willing to play physical. I think that suits the Raiders, mentality of
Yep.
what they're
That
trying to
physicality,
create.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's a good in for them. I actually think that Washington stuffed up. They shouldn't have been paying Bobby Wagner. They
Yeah.
should have been bringing a guy back.
I liked it when Washington picked him up from Carolina.
Yeah, it was
He's-
a great move.
Yeah.
I was shocked when Carolina let him walk.
Yeah.
Now, Carolina had more reason because they weren't good, so they
Yeah.
were just dumping to try and.
I said it last week. Remember, this is the beginning of the wheels turning. Like Raiders are going to become a destination club. People are going to want to go and play there. I'm telling you guys.
Yeah,
Mm.
and it starts with the culture. They
Yeah,
need to,
that's
they
what I
need
mean.
to
Yeah,
bring
the
that culture.
wheels are starting to turn.
I do really like Pete Carroll. Like I actually,
So do I.
I thoroughly enjoy him. I think he's,
He's a
very
likable
likable.
guy. 100%.
He's clearly a good coach. He's coached at a lot of levels, and yeah, I've got a lot of time for him. So I hope the Raiders find some success.
Are we on to
Let's
Scotty's
talk
boys?
Seattle, Scotty.
All right, I'll keep this quick.
No, don't keep us quick. Go hit us with it. I've been waiting all week for this. Brocky, mute us. Get Scotty live.
No, don't mute. No. So obviously, the background for the Geno thing was that everyone at the combine wanted him on board. He was the quarterback of the future. The price range was non-negotiable. So Seattle, he had his offer. Seattle had the counter offer. There was nothing back from Geno's management. So Seattle moved very quickly. The third round pick, I probably would have liked like maybe a second and something else, but you can only get what people are paying. And realistically, there's probably only 2 to 3 teams that are going for him.
Yeah.
I would have said Raiders, Giants, and Pittsburgh are probably the 3 teams that are going for a veteran quarterback.
That's fair.
So the market's not there. Obviously, the trade for DK got me by surprise because I think once Geno had gone, I would have thought that they would keep DK because you need to have the playmakers. And also, we've got Clint Kubiak as the OC over the off season, who loves a deep threat play action, and that is DK's calling card.
Yeah, no doubt.
I don't mind, like, it's a big loss, but I don't mind getting rid of the guy early because typically those bigger athletic receivers break down a little bit earlier. Those smaller, shifty route runner guys are usually more dominant in their 30s.
More durable. I know. What
Yeah,
you're
so
saying,
DK is probably going to be an outlier because he's just a genetic freak. But the second round pick is decent, and Darnold.
Yeah.
The amount of highlights I have been watching since Saturday, I am absolutely
So you're
sign
happy-
me up for
happy with the Donald trade with
I
Donald
think-
signing.
If you're comparing Darnold and Geno, I think Geno would have excelled in this scheme as well. But I think this scheme is perfect for Darnold. His sneaky the mobility and athletic ability is sneaky. The cannon.
He's got a fucking arm.
Got a
Oh,
big
the
arm.
cannon. I'm not joking. I've probably watched 4 hours of Darnold highlights.
That's fair.
I may have watched the same YouTube clip 3 times.
fair.
Like,
Yeah.
it is fantastic.
I think the price point was pretty fair as well. 3 years, 100.5 million, 55 million guaranteed. They're basically guaranteeing his first season and a half.
Yeah.
The
After
first
2 seasons, you can move off if you
And
want
I
to.
think that's good for Seattle. And I don't want to get into it too much. But if obviously Darnold's got red flags the first 4 years, he bounced around the league.
Mhm.
Only had one good season. So Seattle sort of aren't giving up too much to the future. So it's 33 million guaranteed this season. I think it's 18.5 the following season. And then he's pretty much cut with nothing against the team
So
after
they're
that.
sort of like hedging their bets both ways.
So if it doesn't work out well this year, you could probably draft a guy next year and cut Sam Darnold.
It also works really well for Darnold because if he performs the next 2 years, then he's up for a contract again, and then he can get big money.
Yep.
Can I be devil's advocate here? Why
Absolutely.
I don't like this?
Absolutely.
You don't like it, you said.
My issue is I thought Seattle, when they traded Geno, they definitely had a plan. And I think they knew they were getting Darnold. I find it hard to believe they were like, we're trading away Geno, not knowing what's coming. Because they don't have a draft pick that gets them a quarterback, really. You're not going to get
Not
Campbell
unless you
Wood.
get Dart.
Yeah, and
which you don't-
I'm not high on Dart.
I like Dart, but I don't.
Not in the
I'd rather
first round.
Donald.
Not in the first. Yeah, I would too. I'd rather Darnold.
Yeah.
My issue with Darnold is if we look at his career, right? The Jets, terrible offensive line, terrible talent. The Panthers, terrible offensive line, terrible offensive talent. He goes to the Vikings, decent offensive line, not amazing, but good enough.
Average, yeah.
And elite offensive talent with Addison and Jefferson, Aaron Jones. Elite offensive coordinator with O'Connell, who he's the head coach, I know, but he's running that offense. He gets the best out of quarterbacks all the time. That's what he's done his whole career. That's why he's the head coach of the Vikings.
Agreed.
Yep.
Now that Metcalf is gone, and I think the price point was the issue. They didn't want to pay him. Was it 5 years, $150 million?
Yeah, it was annual of 30 million. And I don't think he's worth that. I think I put out Shadow would have been happy with that 22 to 25 range.
Yeah, I think it's a bit much for a big receiver who, again, doesn't rely on. He relies on athleticism, which naturally can drop off. It might not with him, but it can.
Yeah.
So I think you put Darnold in this situation now. He's got JSN, who's a jet. He's a superstar. And then you've got a bad offensive line. Other than their tackles, I like the tackles. I like Lucas. Who's the left tackle again? Charles Cross.
Yeah.
I like their tackles, but they're injured. They're not great. Their interior line's terrible. Darnold has struggled when he's pressured. We saw that late in the season last year. The Bears made an absolute mockery of him by blitzing him. And I think
the Lions.
Lions. And I think that they're going to be able to, team's going to be able to do that. So I hope they've got a plan for what they're going to do with Darnold, because history tells us, and I like Darnold, and I genuinely want him to work out, because I really do like him. I think he's been through the shit and he deserves some success. But I'm worried that team around him on offense is not talented enough for him to do the same things he did.
Where are they picking?
18.
Well, they'll be able to get a good offensive lineman there.
You'd hope so.
Well, if Booker falls, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I think Darnold had 13 touchdowns and 0 picks against the blitz.
Yeah, I'm not saying he can, but I'm just saying from what last year, he was amazing.
The talent, obviously, JSN and Jay Jetters aren't comparable. But
I think Jason and Addison. I think Jason's probably the best slot receiver in the NFL.
Yes,
I don't think that's I think it's probably him and Flowers are probably the two best.
Yeah.
In terms of the
right
best
up there.
young slot receivers, and then like Puka Nakua is probably up there too. But
he moves
plays
around
outside a lot more.
Yep.
I
think there's a lot of similarities with the O-line, because Vikings O-line against the pass rush, for the pass rush, wasn't fantastic.
No.
So it's going to be similar situations. And Kubiak had Darnold when he was at the 49ers. So he knows him well. He was the passing game coordinator.
Yep.
So he exclusively worked with him.
Yep.
So that's where I'm a little bit more confident. There's definitely red flags, and it's definitely a 1 year thing. But he knows him. He's gone, hey, if we can't get Geno, we'll get this guy. And Darnold on the play action is perfect.
Yeah.
He's almost
with Jefferson. He was great with that offense. That's Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson, Aaron
absolutely.
Jones.
I see that.
It's an elite offense.
Seattle need to get a speedy receiver to take the top off the defense. Otherwise, they're suffocating Darnold and probably playing against him.
Yeah. I'll say one thing. Put all your money on JSN to ball out next year.
Oh, yeah.
Because he is going to be the ballad de ball in Minnesota.
And the running game should have an uptick. Like
maybe they draft a receiver at 8.
Yeah, potentially.
I don't think there's that elite. There's probably a lot of really good 2 receivers, but there's not that elite X receiver. And there's no point drafting a 2 receiver when you got JSN.
We'll look at it as we get.
Yeah.
100%. The other thing I did like for Saddle, Jaron Reed, Ernest Jones.
Ernest Jones is huge.
Re-sign those guys. Yep. Ernest Jones found a genuine home there. He was traded from the Rams to
the Titans.
The Titans then traded him to Seattle. Seattle cut their linebacker,
both starters,
and he came in and was lights out for us that season. So I'm glad. And Jaron Reed's just like a perennial good football player.
Yeah.
He's a guy that everyone should want on their team.
Yep.
So I'm into that. All right, we've got our next segment, which we have Brocky's Corner.
Ooh, I've been looking forward to this all week.
I love it. I'm just going to bring up the backups. We're in the Brocky's backup corner this week.
Where you belong.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm just going to know the sign-ins that have gone to different teams. So we've got Kenny Pickett was traded to the Browns. He's a backup. Colts, Danny Dimes. He's a backup. Jags, Nick Mullins. He should be starting. Fuck Trevor Lawrence. Rams, Jimmy G. The Dolphins got Zach Wilson.
Oh.
Good place for him.
Yeah.
Good place for him.
Quarterback coach. Yep.
Quarterback coach. The Pats signed the Pastronaut, Josh Dobbs.
Yes.
So hoping he gets a beanie there. It might be a bit cold on his bald head.
Hey, let's not take ball people. George is there and I'm one haircut away.
He's got alopecia though, doesn't he, Dobbs?
Yes.
Alopecia. Say it
Alopecia.
correctly.
Sorry.
The
English is my
Cardinals.
second language. Sorry.
The Cardinals got Jacoby Brissett,
Oh, okay.
which is pretty good for them. I really like Brissett.
Hmm.
The Broncos brought back Jarrett Stidham for 2 years, $12 million. He's been overpaid,
Outrageous money.
and probably the best backup signing this year so
the
far.
Red Rifle.
The Panthers, Andy Dalton, 2 years, $8 million. Let the Red Rifle fire.
Going off topic here. What about the Jets signing of Fields?
But that's coming up.
Yeah. Well,
is it?
Yeah, we can talk about that now.
Let's roll straight into
My
it.
bad. I thought-
Notable contracts that have been signed so far.
Yeah, let's start with Justin Fields.
I think
it's a great move.
that is the most mature move the Jets have made in 20 years.
What are they
Because-
signing for?
2 years, I think it was 20 million a year.
Yep, it was 2 years, 40.
I think you take a flyer on a young guy. You don't mortgage your future. You're not in the. You've been handcuffed by Rodgers. You get rid of that and that train wreck that happened. You take a flyer on a young guy. Doesn't work out. Cool. We'll draft our guy next year. And if it does work out, if you get the Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield, Darnold experiment and it works, well, you found your guy. I think they've got the best of both worlds.
He might not last the whole year because his Madden rating is only 73. Though. So if he starts playing pretty bad, his son,
Sorry, I didn't
the
hear
son will cut him.
didn't hear the drop.
Brocky, that's so funny, man. That's you know why that's funny? Because like there's an element of truth in that. That's what makes it
That's
so
the scary part.
And the other reason why I like it as well is they've got a highlight reel guy.
Sure.
Yes.
They've got a highlight reel. Like they don't have the dink and dunk Rodgers that's too old to move. They've got Fields that runs out of the pocket, that trucks a guy, that can sling it deep to Garrett. I like it. It's really underrated.
I just want Fields to do well.
Me
Oh,
too.
so do
I'm
I.
sorry
I
for
like
him.
it.
Do you feel like there's been a guy that's been kind of stuffed around more than the NFL?
He's very maligned.
Because he wasn't bad in Chicago, and I understand why they moved away because they had the number one overall pick and they had a generational talent in Caleb Williams. It was a great quarterback draft.
And Williams
so I get
is
it.
a better quarterback. So
I
that's
agree.
fair.
Yes.
That's fine.
Yeah.
And then I think the Jets did him wrong. Like
The Patriots,
The-
the Steelers.
the Steelers, yeah, I think like the Steelers don't have a quarterback right now.
Mm.
He was 5-1.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't get it. I like obviously the Steelers didn't like him. They didn't value him because they
No,
let him leave. But I don't like it from them.
Apparently, reports were that they thought that he was coming back.
Yeah, well, they need to actually talk to the player and bring him
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Can I also say on the Steelers, while we're talking Steelers, do you know what the DK Metcalf trade is for the Steelers? It's the anchor baby of a shitty marriage.
Yeah,
It is
right,
like
yeah.
our team's falling apart. Tomlin's going, well, we're not going to be good. Trading for DK Metcalf when you literally don't have a quarterback on your roster
That's so
is one of,
bizarre.
and then paying him 5 years, 150 is the ultimate. Hey, babe, I know things aren't going well. I know you hate me. I know you've been fucking your gym trainer, but how about we have a baby so we can make this last another year?
Yeah,
Am I wrong?
it's
Yeah.
It's the anchor
very
baby of
accurate
an
analogy.
NFL signing.
Yeah.
the whole thing of signing a stud receiver without a quarterback is just fucking bizarre to me.
It's
Like,
outrageous. I genuinely think that DK Metcalf saw that and was like,
And then they let Najee walk as well. So, like,
yeah,
I like Warren. I think Warren's a very good running back, but I don't think he's.
he's not a bell cow.
Yeah, and he's not the guy you want for 250 touches in between the tackles either.
I'd have had Najee back. He's good.
No, we'll talk about Najee later. He's coming out. I just wanted to highlight that. I think because we didn't talk about the Steelers version of DK. I thought
Yeah.
that was such a bizarre move for them because I think they'll land Aaron Rodgers, but then
Yes, I agree.
let's just quickly talk Aaron Rodgers. It's basically Giants or Steelers.
Has to be.
I think it's going to be Giants because they are pursuing him like a hot chick at CQ, and it's Scotty. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Only Scotty knows. If you know, you
shout
know.
out, Scott.
And I think that they might get stuck with having to bring Russell Wilson back.
Wow.
But what else are they going to do?
They won't want to do
Danny
that.
Dimes is gone. Kenny Pickett's gone. Super Bowl winning quarterback. You know, he took the last snap in the Super Bowl. That's all I'm going to say. You know what I mean?
Just a quick reminder that we did put our backups in the Super Bowl.
Hey, small hands, full hearts
Oh,
to
just-
Sean Watson, Lakers in 5.
Jesus.
No, I just think it's wild that the Steelers, they finally bring in an offensive talent. They also draft wide receivers excellent. Like
Yeah.
they are such good drafters
So
of wide
that
receivers.
duo of Metcalf and Pickens is going to cause problems to the secondary.
It's going to be fun on the run block.
Going to cause problems for the sidelines
yeah,
too.
just punching on with everyone.
You'll have DK Metcalf with a torn labrum from lifting too much, and then Pickens will be putting on the other team's jersey and
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
play for them. You don't know what you're going to get with those
Yeah.
guys. So I don't get Pittsburgh's move, but it is DK Metcalf is an anchor baby. It's Tomlin going, I got a receiver.
What happens if they don't get Rodgers? What are they doing? They're bringing back.
They have
Wilson.
to bring back Russ. They literally have no other option. And apparently there's no bad blood there, but they've missed everyone.
They
thought
I think
they'd
they were
get
hoping to
Darnold.
move on and upgrade for sure.
100%. Like they couldn't have traded.
Maybe they go for a dart or something like
They
that.
would have been smarter
Yeah.
giving a first round pickup and getting DK and Gino. You go,
Yeah,
hey, we'll
okay,
just take both of you.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would have been the smarter move, but obviously DK happened after. So
Yep.
anyway, all right, let's get into some noticeable signings. I'm just going to rattle off a few. I'll try and stick it. I'll keep it like team by team. Let's start with the Dallas Cowboys. I love that they signed Osi Odigizua, D tackle. I thought 4 years, $80 million was too much.
A little bit, yeah.
Then when we saw all the other free agents start going, I'm like,
Williams and that,
yep,
yeah.
right on par with
Yeah.
a quality D tackle. They also finally signed a player from another team. They got Javonte Williams, the running back, 1 year, $3 million.
Yeah, I know that was.
We talked about this before. Like, it's great. Cowboys re-signed Ozzy. I liked Ozzy. Javonte Williams, he's better than Zeke. It'll be a better move. But the Cowboys have not signed a free agent from another team for more than $6 million a season since 2015, and that was Greg Hardy.
That's wild. That's wild
absolutely
to me.
That is
bonkers, man.
a decade of not signing a free agent for over $6 million.
And to the Cowboys' credit, they've been
They've been
pretty
good.
good.
You can look at it in both ways.
Yeah, so
Like,
they've obviously kept their talent in the building,
Yep.
and they've drafted well, but they've just never taken that next step to.
With the cherry on top with a
yeah,
good free
or
agent.
address their weaknesses with a free agent. Yeah,
the
it's
prime example was last season when Derrick Henry, from all reports, want to go to Dallas, and they didn't even call him for a conversation.
wild.
Like that's a sin. That is a sin as a general
I
manager.
find that very.
If you
It's
call
just-
him and he goes, "I want 12 million," and you're not willing to pay, you go, "Hey, cool, thanks for your time, Derek."
It's actually just malpractice. It's
is.
malpractice
That's what I
from
mean,
Jerry.
because the
Yeah.
phone call's free. Like it's.
Well, we don't know
10
in America.
10 minutes of your time, man.
Yeah.
Like, just call the guy. Speak to his agent.
I reckon
something.
Jerry's got enough in the bank account to cover the phone call.
Maybe he didn't have enough minutes.
Oh,
Like
Yeah.
that's the type of like that's what
Rocky's on fire.
Jerry
today.
Jones would be on. He still has his minutes.
The prepaid minutes.
He tried to call after 5 o'clock and it just didn't go through.
That's what old people do. They got their prepaid minutes. These fucking 80-year-olds. Jesus Christ.
Is Jerry
Oh.
80 yet? He's probably is. That's it. Let's talk Zach Baum staying as an Eagle.
Yep.
This is a brilliant signing. I love this.
Yep.
I
Hit
love
us
it.
with a Georgie boy.
Up and
Tell us.
down. He's the anchor to our defense.
Yep.
I love everything about it.
I also think that for Zach Bourne, it is 100% the right move. You don't be a literal cut practice squad roster bubble guy.
Basically
for
a
5
nobody,
years,
and then you're an all-pro.
And then you're an all-pro?
You
you just don't leave.
you don't leave. There's no need to leave. You know
you
that
take that slight pay cut to stay.
Yep.
but even still, it's not really a pay cut. He becomes like a top paid linebacker at his
I
position
think he's
now.
the 7th highest paid.
No, but if there was another team, or if we're hypothetically talking 2 to 3 million a year, you take that pay cut to stay at the system that made you.
100%
That's the
agree.
smart move.
Stay, play for Fangio, play in the
Yep.
system.
Yep.
You know you can excel.
Yep.
And you know the team's going to be good because we're a loaded roster anyway. So we're always going to be thereabouts. You're always going to be playing
Yep.
well. So
You've got some big dudes in front. You've got Jalen Carter in front of you. If I'm an off-ball linebacker and I can have Jalen Carter in front of me, I'm almost willing to pay for free.
I don't know about for free, but
Not at the NFL level, but
your
you-
points valid.
You get my. I just want to get his contract. It was
4 years. I think it was 4 years, 33 million or something.
It was 3 years, 51 million, 34 guaranteed
Yeah,
is where you
yeah,
got it.
yeah.
I just don't think that's an outrageous amount for a
Yeah.
all pro linebacker.
Yeah, first
I know
time All-Pro.
off-ball linebackers are such an underrated position. What the Eagles are doing is they've taken the two most undervalued positions in running back and linebacker and turned them into the two most important players on their team and signed them both long term.
100%. So
Is
they're
that-
locked in.
As a Cowboys fan, it pisses me
You're
off.
going fuck.
It pisses me off that
Yeah.
they're doing it. Like
Yeah.
they're going to be very good next year, regardless of some guys.
Hey,
that lost,
in
which we'll
Howie
talk
we
about
trust.
later. Yes, in Howie we trust. Let's talk Bills. I've got a few to rattle off the Bills, and we'll discuss them. They re-signed Khalil Shakir, 4 years, $60 million. They extended him.
Yep.
Great
Good
move.
signing.
They gave Josh Allen the bag. He finally earns more than his wife now. 6 year, $330 million.
And 250
$250 guaranteed.
guaranteed.
A cool
Why-
$250 million.
Why?
If you think about it that way.
Yeah,
It is
Just a
crazy.
cool
But
quarter of a
why do you
billion.
think they did this? Why did they feel the need to do this? He
Because
was already
locked-
under contract, correct?
Yes, he's in this.
He's-
He's got 2 years left.
he's one of the guys that transcends sport for that city.
Yeah, he's the MVP this year.
Yeah.
For good reason. The cap quarterbacks only go up in price. They are literally locking him down for the better part of a decade where they don't have to do anything.
Yeah, so he's
They-
contracted
they-
until 2030 now.
In 3 years' time, he'll be like the 6th highest paid quarterback, and
That's
then they've
true.
got 3 more. They've got, no, they'll have 6 more years. This doesn't kick in for 2 more seasons.
Is that okay?
So, because he's got 2 years left, and this is a 6-year extension.
oh,
So, they're extending- so
okay.
he's now under contract for 8 years.
is that right, Brock?
So he will.
Yes, it is.
Yes, thank you.
Where was the drop?
You worried me. No, we asked a direct question. Doesn't have
Yeah,
to drop.
he still drops.
You should, Brock, drop no matter what we do. Okay,
I'll still drop.
double drop.
Yeah, but I
Um,
think, yeah, having the franchise player for 8 years, and like you said, I agree 100% with the market will reset
Yep.
Mm.
after this signing, and in 3 years' time, there's going to be burnt biscuits. But he's just so important to that team and everything
Oh, there's no doubt about
that
that.
he's done.
So I think what you're saying is you're just getting ahead of the curve. Kind of.
100%.
Yeah, that's fair.
By the time this kicks in, he probably won't even be the highest paid quarterback.
Yeah.
He might be 5 or 6 because Kyle Murray will be up, all that sort of stuff.
I don't think
There'll be Dak
Kyler-
Prescott will get a new contract. There'll be everyone.
Burrow will be hitting the open
Burrow
market.
will be
He'll be
hitting the
asking for a
market.
trade. I'm telling you
That's
now.
what I mean.
That's coming.
I think it's a great move by them.
Yep.
I'm gonna bring up this subject and then I'm gonna go in on this guy for about a minute.
Well, here we
Myles Garrett signs a 4-year, $123 million contract, making him
go. Max Crosby.
beat Max Crosby 2 days later. This is a guy that not even a month ago released a social media statement that he's going to go to a contender. He thanked the Browns for everything. But what's important to him at this point of his career is winning. He's being on a successful team. He's competing for a Super Bowl. You are full of shit, Myles Garrett. And if you ever turn up at my house, I will apologize profusely for this. But you are a sack of shit and your
Nah.
word means
Nah,
nothing.
fuck that. I'm throwing hands. Fuck him. I'm throwing
Oh,
All right,
hands.
R.I.P. George.
I will watch and I'll lock all the doors while
Hey,
you're
that's
fighting.
okay. I'm happy to go. I'm happy
You just
to throw
hey,
hands.
buy us 30 seconds if you can, so I can board the walls up. I just think he's full of shit.
He's clearly
This
full of
is the fullest shit award of 2015. The season hasn't even started.
Yep.
And
It is bullshit.
do you know what's worse? The Cowboys and the Bengals have now fucked themselves.
Yeah, because they were releasing Cap.
Because Jamar Chase was going to be the highest paid quarterback player that wasn't a quarterback.
Mm.
Yeah.
Now this is going to jump that. Now Jamar's going to be at 43, 44 million a year.
He's
So
not a free agent, is he, Chase? He's got one more year left. Yeah.
this is his last year.
He's his
coming up.
5th-year options this
Yeah.
year. Yeah, okay.
So the Bengals have stuffed it up. As they probably could have got him for 36. So now it's going to cook him. And the Cowboys have done the same thing with Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
Because they could have got him for 36. Now it's 43, 44.
Mm.
So because now the Bengals and the Cowboys have dropped the ball,
It's like a reset the market.
they've reset the market. And every time a team does this is why the Bills have done the right thing and locked up their guy early. And the other teams that just have malpractice when it comes to contracts year after year after year, and they wonder why they're stuck in the middle of the road, is because they don't extend the right players at the right time.
Mm.
They did it with Zeke. They extended him before, like, they waited for everyone else, and then they reset a ridiculous price on the market.
Yep.
And everyone was like, no one's paying running backs that money.
Yep.
And then it plummeted, and they were stuck. They're still paying him. They're still paying him on this year's contract, but they're paying him from his previous contract still as well.
Yep.
Mm.
That's how long the contract was. So
It's
Wow.
ridiculous.
I think it's crazy, but I just think Myles Garrett is full of shit.
I feel bad for the Browns fans. I genuinely do.
Do you think that he meant
they're
it
out there.
at the time and had a change of heart, or do you think that it was always about money?
I think this was his play. to
Rocky's
get
just
paid.
pulled up he's just pulled up the message he put on Instagram on the page. That seems pretty distinctive that he wants to get out of there.
Mm.
Like that's a decisive message. So I think maybe
Like the offer was too good to refuse, is what I'm saying.
do you think no other team's offering him that?
I don't
I
know.
think there's a ton of teams that are offering him that.
I don't-
think the Eagles would have paid him that?
I don't know that the top teams that he wanted to go to contend for a
afford
Super
that.
Bowl can afford that. That's what I'm saying.
That's a fair point. They might have turned around and gone, hey, Carolina, the Jets, and the Colts are interested in you.
The top-
Or,
do you wanna go
and
to
the
Tennessee?
Titans, yeah.
Yeah.
Like you can go to one of them, or we can give you $40 million a year. He might have said, yeah, cool, give me $40 million.
Yeah.
The bottom line is don't do all this crap if you're not if you're going to put your balls on the line,
He seems like
your
a pretty,
word means something. And
he
it
seems
doesn't
like a
mean
pretty
something.
genuine dude. That's kind of my point. That I think at the time he meant it, and then as the wheels started turning, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I can't actually get to where I want to go. Like I can't get to the Lions, I can't get to the Eagles, I can't get to Green Bay. So what are my options here? I can go to another shit team and get paid, or I can stay where I know
With your
and get
home
paid
and everything.
really well.
Yeah.
And also,
if you're in a similar position, you're probably doing the same thing.
I'd go to any other team but the Browns. I think the Browns are they're descending still.
You're not turning down $45 million a year, bro.
If the Titans are offering me, I'm going to the Titans. I think they're
why?
better.
It's the same dumpster fire. Then you have to relocate.
better
Is it?
weather in
They're-
Tennessee.
I
they're,
think-
they're not paying a quarterback $50 million to not play.
Backing onto your point as well, 3 hours at this time of the year in the NFL is a long time.
Mm.
So, like what you're saying is, he could have been genuine at that point.
Mm.
His agent rings him up and goes, "Hey, this is the ballpark figure. Go meet the owner." The owner goes, "I don't want you to leave. This is our offer. Do you want to take it?" And he's like it's easy for us to say, like,
It's the
when
most
there's
money ever
45,
for a
when there's
non-quarterback.
$40 million on the table, and you're like,
a year.
"Oh, I know the facility. I know the lunch lady. I know." I know everyone in the building, and now you're offering me $40 million. Like,
That's the spot where I almost kicked
It
Mason,
was
killed Mason
something-
Rudolph with
Yeah,
my helmet.
the
Like,
memories.
it's memories
Yeah.
there, you know?
Brock, can you please look this up? It was something ridiculous at signing. It was like $90 million at signing.
Yeah,
as
it
well.
was. Yeah, it was.
It was something crazy.
outrageous,
Like imagine
yeah.
you sign and then like 30 days later, it's $90
I'll tell you
million
who's
in your
happy with
account.
that signing.
Who?
Ohio State government. They are taking some cash. They are taking some cash.
They
They're like,
just paid for all their roads.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Miles Garrett's paid like $100 million in tax over
Yeah.
his career or something.
Yeah.
I never thought of that. The governments must love these NFL guys.
Of course
Yeah.
they do.
They must love it. Brocky, did you get his contract?
It's
Where's
not
the drop?
official yet. Fuck off, Scotty.
what's the point of having it?
So it's 4 years, 160, 40 average, 88 million guaranteed
Yeah,
at signing.
Yeah, so yeah, 90 million at signing. That's a
Yeah.
lot of money to just
Total guaranteed is 122.
imagine that. That's hard to say no to, man. Like you sign on that dotted line, there's $90 million in your account a month later.
That's a lot of money
crazy.
to change your mind.
No, it's a very good point.
So that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
that's my point that I'm trying to make. He doesn't seem like that shifty kind of guy. I think he meant it at the time, but like you said, things evolved. And he's like, "Fuck, how am I turning down 90 million?"
Yeah.
Think about that as a concept. Like that means that anyone with the name Garrett from now on never has to work again.
Well, it was probably already the case.
yeah,
but
no, but
now
now it's like cemented.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
Forever.
I just want to touch on a point
Does
of you made a point about knowing the lunch lady.
Yeah.
The food and dining area at Cleveland Browns got rated a C minus.
Oh wow.
The locker room was an F minus.
I did see this.
The treatment of family was a D plus, but it's okay because the weight room was an A. So that's what really matters here, boys. I don't really matter for Georgie, boys.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen Miles, but he hasn't seen the weight room before. So
he's been that big since 15. I think that's the sort of guy. It's like Booby Miles. Like, did you lift Booby? He's like, this is
Wow.
all natural, baby.
I'm pretty sure he's got a hammock in the weight room.
They're like,
He just lives there.
He's never lifted a weight in his life. Oh, he obviously has. But bro,
Anyway.
can you keep that report cut up for the whole season and use this to your advantage? Because that is outstanding.
Shout out to Miles.
I love it. It's my favorite thing
I
they
still
do.
like him. I still like him, and obviously he's an absolute freak of a player.
I still like him. I'm disappointed that we're going to have to watch him play for the Browns forever.
That's fair.
It sucks.
That's fair.
It sucks. Let's talk New England Patriots. They finally decided to spend some money in
Splashing
an off
cash,
season.
yeah.
Bill Belichick sitting with his 23-year-old girlfriend down at UCLA, just laughing, going, "I could do it without spending any money." They signed the darling of the free agency. He was the number one rated player, Milton Williams, the ex-Eagles D tackle. 4 years, $104 million, including $51 million guaranteed.
It's a lot of money.
can I just say what? And I won't say too long on this, but every time a bad team steals borderline starters from a good team and ridiculously overpays them, never works out. Williams will be cut in the next 2 years, and he'll be latching onto another contender.
Mm.
It gets worse.
I know it gets worse.
They signed Mac Hollins. I didn't hate 2 years, $8.4 million.
They
I
need
would
to
have
get
liked to see him
someone to
back
run
in
routes.
Buffalo. They signed Morgan Moses
Terrible.
to a 3-year, $24 million deal. Do you know how, including $28 million guaranteed, so fully guaranteed? Do you know how old Morgan Moses is?
31.
35 years old by the
Yeah.
time the season starts, and didn't play well.
So he's as old as Moses too.
Yeah, they signed Harold Landry, who just got cut, who hasn't played well. Like the Titans kept him because his contract was so high.
I don't mind him.
And he's serviceable, but
Yeah,
he's not
don't mind.
he's not a dominant player. 3
No.
years, $43 million, $26 million guaranteed. Milton Williams just discussed. This is the worst of a lot of them. Carlton Davis, the
my
burnt
man.
toast of the Detroit Lions
Oh,
last year,
Don't get me
who
started.
they were so willing to move off on. 3 years, $60 million
Yeah.
for a cornerback who's not even. Is he top 20? Do you think he's top 20?
Oh no, God no.
Is
no.
he top 32?
No.
I don't know if he's top 32 in this league. I don't know if he's a top start. He's a number one corner on any other team.
No.
$60 million, $20
Well,
million
he's not going to be the
a
number
year.
one corner.
Yeah,
on
they
that
got
team.
Gonzalez.
Gonzalez will be the number one corner.
Yeah.
on that team.
100%. And this is the ultimate of we
We've got-
need to spend money. We have money. We need to spend.
There's a
Let's go.
minimum floor for the cap. And
Yeah.
the Patriots have just done that. I'm sure in the writing for these contracts, they're very front loaded and then they can drop these players and continue to tank. And I'm sure if they've got half a brain cell, that's how they've set this up. But just because you've got money in the bank and the Commanders did the same thing, you just don't overspend on players that don't fit. Now, obviously, the top tier players aren't going to want to go there, but you don't need to pay Williams groundbreaking money. Like, what was it, the sixth defensive tackle money in the league?
Yeah, it's
For a guy that doesn't start on a good team?
he
Mm.
played a good half season as a pass
I
rushing.
reckon he had a
deep
good
tackle.
2 months, personally. That's it.
Yeah,
As a
fair
situational
enough.
player.
You watch him more than
Yeah,
anyone.
he had a good 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as a situational player, he's not the main guy on your
He,
team.
he didn't play 3 downs because you had Jordan Davis playing the rundowns, Jalen Carter, who's a genuine 3-down D tackle, who's licking his chops, seeing what Milton Williams just got.
Yeah, true.
He's waiting for the end of
And
next year
Garrett.
when he's going to get loaded with money. And I don't know. I would prefer Grady Jarrett than Milton Williams. I'd
So,
prefer Grady Jarrett at his
Let
contract
me ask you
than
guys a
Milton
question.
Yeah.
They've got their young quarterback that they're rolling with.
Yep.
What have they done to help him in this free agency?
Williams. Nothing. Morgan
That's
Moses is not a good right tackle.
That's an
Matt
indictment.
Collins is a borderline. He's a borderline 2 if you
Two
have
receiver,
an elite
yeah.
1, but he's probably a 3 in most teams.
Who's this?
Matt Collins?
Oh no, he's a 3.
Maybe a 2 on it. If you have like a Jefferson in him, he's a good 2.
So
No, he's not.
they haven't improved their skill players. They haven't really improved their offensive line. What the fuck have they done?
No, well, they do have an early pick, which I think they'll improve offensive line there, or they'll draft Hunter.
I think they should draft Travis Hunter.
I think that's
so
what they'll
for sure.
try.
I think they should trade back and get draft assets.
That would be the smart move, but they won't do that because they're in
But
like we're going to protect ourselves.
It's a Vabral team, and he's got Vabral players, and they're gonna be dogs. They're going to outperform their skill position. They're going to outperform their
Okay.
roster. I do believe that.
yeah. I think they overpaid. Rocky,
Looking at the ESPN mock draft, they have Travis Hunter going number 2 to the Cleveland Browns, and they will get Abdul Carter in number 4.
that would be elite. That would be fine.
If Abdul Carter drops, that is ridiculous.
Because
You-
Tennessee Titans with Cam Ward, Giants with Shador, and number 4, Abdul Carter.
I think if he gets
the
to 4, that's insane. It could happen, but it's insane.
if the Giants, oh god,
It could happen, but
Surely the Browns are drafting a quarterback as well.
It also-
I don't agree with that.
well, they've got Kenny Pickett. They've got old small hands Pickett. They don't need
Yeah,
anything.
bro.
And old Dick Rub. Is there ever been a better team than Watson, Big Dick Watson, and small hands Pickett? They're going to
Absolutely
be
not.
barrel the ball down at the
It's a
match
match made in heaven.
All right.
You know what the Browns organization did? They're like, we need to take the heat off the Garrett signing. You know what we need to do? We need to get these fucking big dick, small hand memes out here.
Yeah, that'll do it.
They're playing chess. We're all playing
yeah,
checkers.
yeah.
I want to get Brocky in for this one. Ravens re-signed Ronnie Stanley. Brocky, you must be happy with this one.
Oh, I'm very happy with it.
Where's the drop?
A bargain deal too.
There it
Thank
is.
you.
Nah, very happy with the deal. 20 million over 2 years, I believe. I don't know why people didn't offer him more money.
No,
for
it's
that.
3 for 30, I think.
3 for 30.
No, 3 years, 60, 20 million a year.
Oh,
for
was it
3
20
years.
million a
Yeah.
year? Okay, 20 million a year, 3 for 60. Really happy with the deal. I thought people were going to offer him big money because that's just what people do to the Ravens left tackle. They always just offer money and they always go. So I'm happy he stayed with the Ravens. Going to be very good for Lamar.
Yeah,
I think
great
it's a good
signing.
move.
I think there was just a feeling across the league. So I know obviously Seattle was going for every go lineman that he was never leaving. So I just don't know if he was gettable for teams.
Yeah, I'm trying to find. There was a left tackle that got signed from the Steelers that had a 66.
Oh, I did see
PFF
that. He went to
rating last
the
year.
Panthers or something, didn't
I
he?
put it in the rundown, and now I can't find it.
Dan Moore. Dan Moore
Dan-
to play left.
Yeah,
tackle.
Dan Moore.
4 years,
Titans-
82 million.
Titans signed 66
Titans.
overall or 66 PFF graded Dan Moore to play left tackle for 4 years, $82 million. It's when you see Stanley getting 3 years, 60. Like I know that
Trey Smith is on 20 million a year as
Yeah.
well. Like, come on.
It's an outrageously good move by the Ravens.
Yep.
And a great move by Stanley. He stays where he's comfortable. He stays where he knows how to play. He still gets $20 million a year, which is nothing to sneeze at.
No.
But he gets just the fact that these other teams, like the Panthers signing Dan Moore, is I'd never heard of him. And we know how I love offensive line.
Mm.
I never heard him to the point where I was like, who is this guy? He played for the Steelers. They were one of the worst offensive lines in football last year.
Why is he getting 20 million a year?
Outrageous for 4 years too. I thought that was pretty hilarious. Let's move to another trade. Texans traded for Christian Kirk. It was for a late pick this year.
I like it.
Yeah, it's good.
I think it's good. Bring him in.
Yep.
He's a deep threat. It'll work well with Nico Collins. They're obviously not going to get Tank Dell back maybe at all next season.
And who knows the player now? We've had 2 serious lower body injuries now. So
He had one in college as well, I'm pretty sure.
his first year, I think.
Was his first. I thought, he definitely had one in his 2 in the NFL so far.
Yeah.
So at this point, like Tank Dell, unfortunately, is a question mark for his future.
Yeah.
Just because we don't know how he's going to come back and play football.
Kirk was playing well. He had until he did his shoulder, he was playing very well. So good signing for the Texans.
His first year in Jaguars was really good when they played it. They won the division and played really well.
yeah.
So I think I don't hate it. They gave up nothing for him. I know his contract's pretty high, but Texans need talent around Stroud, and I think it's a good move. And I don't hate it for the Jags dumping some guys. Like I don't think it's a bad move by them to dump.
He
some
built
guys.
around Brandon
Thomas.
Thomas.
Yeah,
Junior,
100%.
yep.
100%.
We got to talk
Brandon?
about the Colts because I love these 2 signings.
Hit us with it. What do you got?
Yeah.
Okay, where is it? I had it here. I had it. Sorry, guys. Two DBs: Travarius Ward, 3 years, $60 million, and safety Cameron Bynum, 4 years for $60 million. Short up that secondary, which was a real weakness for them last season. I love both these signings. I love
Yeah.
it.
Ward probably lost a step. We touched on his situation last week, but fantastic signings. They got a frisky defense. I'll be watching out for them. I think their front seven's underrated.
I think the whole roster's sneaky good.
Oh yeah, I had them as a division winner last year.
Yeah.
That just didn't pan out.
Richardson sucked.
Well,
Basically,
you lead a horse to water, can't you?
Yeah.
and
obviously
you'll
they brought-
walk
they-
right into it.
They brought in, well, he did. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that anything untrue. And they brought in Danny Dimes to compete for the starting job.
Yep.
And I'm telling you now, he will be starting week 1. Richardson will not be starting.
I don't think. I think Richardson has to start the first month of the season. He has to.
I think Daniel Jones is going to beat him in camp. I truly believe that. You can't sit there and honestly say right now Daniel Jones is not a better quarterback than Anthony Richardson.
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying the draft, the draft capital that they've invested in him. They have to give him a full healthy offseason and then see what he's got before they get rid of him.
So they give him a full healthy offseason now.
Yep.
Now
Yep.
he's healthy this offseason and he's working on his game.
Yep.
And it gets to camp and Jones is just better. They have to start Jones, right?
No.
I think they'll give Richardson.
They'll still start Richardson.
They'll give Richardson his chance.
Yep.
I've said this. By game 3 next year, we will know Richardson's future in the NFL.
He's
We'll
got
know
the draft pedigree. You have to. You just those guys, unless it's
Even if
Trey
Jones is
Lance.
better than him in camp.
100%. Because
That's fucking wild.
you're playing for 3 games. If he sucks and his athleticism and his pedigree doesn't come through, you can always go to Jones. You can't start Jones and then go to Richardson if Richardson sucks already.
What would the fan base do if they start Jones and then Jones is what we've seen previously? They will riot. They're like, why are you not starting our 4th, 5th overall pick? But if you start him at the start and he sucks, you're like, all right, we've seen that.
This is why we've
got Jones. We have to ride or die with Jones, and then we draft whatever the future process is. But you have to show everyone that he can't do it. So then they won't.
Yeah, you give him enough rope to hang himself with. Kind of.
100%.
Okay, yeah, yep.
Jones has to be the savior. Jones has to be the savior of the Colts. That's what he has to be. So that's just outstanding by you. All right, let's move on to the Denver Broncos.
Yeah. Oh,
Can I have the Broncos, please?
Yeah.
Please, yes,
Just
sir.
hit us with it. Do you want the money? I printed it out, Scott.
No, we've got the run sheet.
Okay.
No, I've got the run sheet.
Okay, cool. Got that.
Yeah, I've been high on the Broncos defense for a very long time. The moves that they made,
Yeah, you want the bit of paper.
I do.
Yeah, fair enough.
Re-sign DJJ Jones, who's just eating double teams and getting, I believe, 8 sacks a year, which is phenomenal.
he's a stud, man.
He's so
Dre Greenlaw coming off the Achilles. Obviously, we don't know what you're going to get, but if he's 85% the player that he used to be, that is the stud linebacker that they were missing. Got him for 3 years, 35 mil. And then Hufunga, who is
Say his first name.
Talanoa.
Talanoa.
Oh, damn,
Talanoa
we got it good.
Hufanga.
Yeah.
It's a good name. It's a major league name.
Heat-seeking missile against the run. A little bit of a liability against the pass.
Yep.
But they've got, when you've got PS2, you don't worry about the pass.
Yep.
No.
You just shore up guys that can just come in and delete the
Mhm.
other team. Got him for 3 years, 45 million, 20 guaranteed. So they've shored up one of the best defenses, and that is a division like you were touching on. They've got the Chargers, they've got the Chiefs, and I think both those offenses are going to be extremely worried about playing the Broncos.
As they should be. They're going to be the best defense in the league by a mile next year.
I think they've got a chance to be. This adds the one thing that Denver Broncos defense lacked last year was guys that will take your head off.
Yep.
Dre Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga, that's what they will do.
Yep.
They will. And Hufanga was an all-pro safety 2 years ago.
Yep.
He was injured last year. He didn't play much. I think the Niners dropped the absolute ball letting him leave. I think they dropped the ball letting Dre Greenlaw leave. You think about it, if they didn't re-sign the wide receiver,
Ayuk.
what's his Ayuk,
Yeah.
they could have had both these guys for that money.
For that same
That's what
money.
they've lost by re-signing
And-
Ayuk last year.
The good thing that the Broncos have done, and we've seen it rarely through the NFL pay off, but when it pays off, it is phenomenal. They've got the rookie contract. They've
Mhm.
got that elite, like generational elite defense,
Mm.
like once in a decade sort of defense. And they've got just enough talent on offense to score enough points. And
And Sean Payton.
Sure.
that's right.
Sean
They've got the
Payton.
coach.
Yeah.
They're building the absolute best way that I love watching football.
Yeah, I think
Agreed.
so too.
So
Talking about guys that play the right way, I love the Chiefs bringing back Nick Bolton. We talked about it last week.
yes. Yep.
I think we talk about heat-seeking missiles. I think he was the best off-ball linebacker in free agency, including Zach Bourne. I think Zach Bourne had a fantastic
I
season
agree.
last year, but I think Nick Bolton I think he's one of the most underrated football players in the league.
The reason he's better is because he could play well on any team,
Very
whereas
fair.
Bourne will only play well under Fangio's scheme.
Potentially. And from what we know about Zach Bourne,
Yeah.
that's facts because he
Yeah.
didn't play well in any other team.
That's the reason why he's better.
Nick Bolton,
Yes.
I cannot believe
And
they
he
got
was
him
the
for 3
only
for
one.
45.
He was the only one who gave anything on Super Bowl day.
He
He
was
was the only one.
If they gave an award to the best player on a team that got the shit kicked out of them, it was Nick Bolton.
Yep.
He was
Yep.
by far. He looked like the only guy who actually gave a crap out. there.
Agreed, 100%.
That's
So I
the
think
way
it's a
he's
great move.
wired. He's just
Yeah.
And that's a guy
he
you
would be a
want
psycho.
in your building forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think he'll ever leave. And again, off-ball linebackers are ridiculously cheap in the perspective of teams. So if you have a top one, you just
To the
pay him.
value they bring to your
Yes.
team. Yeah, absolutely.
And it will flip, and it might flip by the time. Like it could flip next year because I think off-ball linebackers are becoming more in vogue. Like they're becoming more popular.
Well, I don't know because you look at like Rokon Smith, we were talking about it. Like he's at 20,
I think it's 18. I think it's
18.
Yeah.
Like Ernest Jones, who's up there, probably the second tier of linebackers. He was at like 14 to 16, and then Bolton, quick maths,
3 for 45.
3 for 45. So you're at that 14,
15,
16.
yep.
Yep. So that is the market for him.
Yeah.
Which is
the price is right. It's
Yeah.
good. It's good. It's a good deal. Good
Yeah.
contract.
Yeah, it's a good deal for Bolton. He stays in a team that he knows.
They brought
Yeah.
back Hollywood Brown too, which I didn't mind. I thought that was good. They need guys.
He was a bit hard done by last year, Hollywood
think so
Brown.
as
He
well.
was hurt for the whole year. He came back late, didn't get him rhythm. I think if he can get a big preseason, stay healthy, I think that can be a really
And they've
good
tagged
move.
Trey Smith.
Trace Smith we've talked about. They also
Yep.
re-signed Jalen Moore, their tackle,
Mm.
who's not great, but for 2 years 30, he's young enough to ride out the experiment for a couple.
Well, they
of years.
need someone there.
Yeah,
at tackle as
and they
well.
got rid of Tooney, so maybe Moore moves into left guard, and that's where he's a better player.
I would be shocked if they don't address the O line in the draft.
I think they should whatever they have in the first 4 rounds should be
Yep,
all O line.
I think so as well.
Swing at every single O lineman and hope that a couple of them
And
pan out.
maybe a receiver somewhere in the third or fourth.
yeah,
round.
like a speedster.
You just Worthy's obviously got trouble, which we'll probably touch on in the
No,
future.
can we touch on Worthy now?
Sure.
Okay.
So I said to you guys, so he was charged and arrested with strangulation and domestic abuse of a partner. It's now come out she was lying.
Mm.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's now
And she
officially
was the
come
one.
out.
She was the one that actually like abused him and
She
like,
came to him,
beat him
started
up.
the whole altercation. He didn't touch her in any way. The police came, and to nullify the situation, and I don't hate on this for the police, to nullify the situation, they removed him.
they
from the
always do
situation
that.
and
They
arrested
always
him.
do that. Yeah.
I don't like you remove the biggest threat, which is the man in that situation. No issue
Can
with
I
that.
can I just say, I'll put a tinfoil hat on. I never believe these situations when the NFL gets involved.
I don't know.
I
this
never
is pretty
believe it.
clear.
What do you mean? In what way?
Because I think the NFL, especially now with the movement that's around the world, the awareness, and rightfully so, we don't need to get into it, but the
Of violence against women? Is
the
that
violence
what you mean?
against women,
Okay, yep,
it is so strong against, and it should be for all the reasons, and
Sure.
we don't need to get into it.
Sure.
But I think now that the NFL's gone, all right, Tyreek Hill, if you had done what you did fucking 6 years ago, you would be getting drilled. And I think now the NFL is trying to save face a little bit, and it's just a tinfoil hat. I just think they cover up these things now a lot more.
Yeah.
So you're saying there's more to the story? Or
I'm just
what are you-
thinking that
what are you
there's a
saying?
paycheck, and then someone changes their mind pretty quickly.
Yeah, well, look, it's not unprecedented that could happen,
Yeah.
but it, I said, I don't know, tinfoil hat, I could see it happening, but also like from all reports, the police have confirmed the story too.
Yeah, they've dropped all the
I
charges.
find
that's
it hard to believe that the police in America, though, you got to understand that they work off if the people drop their charges, the police just go, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Whatever.
Like in Australia, we don't work like that. The
Mm.
police can actually press charges
Yeah.
too if they want to,
Yep.
if it's serious enough. We'll see how it plays out, but from all reports, that's where it is. Rocky?
So the situation was he caught her cheating on him, and for like a week and a half, he was trying to get her to leave the house, and he attacked her, ripped out some of his dreads, didn't touch her. I thought he was done too. I really hoped, fuck the Chiefs, that they were done. But no, it was a situation of he was just trying to get away from her, and yeah, the cops were called. She called the cops, and it just blew up in the media with Twitter and X and all that stuff.
Well, I hope I'm wrong, but I just think that the NFL do cover up these situations.
Hey, as George says, when there's smoke, there's fire.
Amen.
Very
Amen.
true. Let's talk some Chargers football. They bring back Khalil Mack, but
Cheap deal.
Yeah, on a good deal.
Yep.
I like that for Khalil Mack. He
Yep.
wants to obviously stay there. They did cut Joey Bosa, who took his talents to beautiful,
The sunny
warm, sunny
Buffalo.
which we'll talk about Joe Bosa in a second because I want to go back to that. And then they also signed Najee Harris. I think the Najee Harris signing could be under the radar, one of the best signings of the offseason.
For them, absolutely.
Yep, for them.
yes.
He's a bell cow.
Yep.
He's big. He's fast. He's tough. He played every single snap last year.
Yep.
He didn't miss any snaps through.
He hasn't
injury.
missed a game in his career
Yeah.
for a bell cow running back.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
He also
Or he
had
might break down and die.
He had
We don't know.
75 catches his first season,
Yes.
so he can catch the ball.
Mm.
And that's what Harbrow's going to do.
Yeah.
Check down.
100%.
I
Yep.
think he is a better version of J.K. Dobbins, who heart goes to him. Injuries clearly slowed him down last year, and he was still a competent, productive running back in that system. I think this is a great move for Najee Harris.
Yep.
What was it? One
One for 6.
I didn't get
or
the,
one for
the
12.
contract. Sorry. Yeah, but it's a low end running back deal. I think it's a great move by them. I'm really happy
and a
with
good
it.
fit. Good
Yep.
fit for sure.
1 year, $5.25 million
Yep.
with incentives can get him up to 9.25. So
Yep.
imagine
Okay.
1,000-yard seasons, touchdowns, receptions.
Sure.
And they'll probably get a running back in the draft because it's a rich running back draft.
Yeah.
And they also cut Gus the Bus as well. So,
Yeah, maybe
Obviously
maybe
cleared
a
up the
receiver
room.
or something. Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I just think I think that's a really under the radar move that
smart football move.
could pay dividends
that's
next
a Jim Harbaugh move, man.
Yep.
100%. And
Well,
let's talk.
Also, haven't brought back J.K. Dobbins yet as well. He's an unrestricted free agent at the moment as well.
Yeah, so they
So
could
it's actually
still bring
real-
him back
it's a,
as well.
but it's a real good signing to shore that up as well for themselves.
I think with DK, we'll probably wait till the draft and then OTAs and all that sort of stuff. And
He'll
if
be a
there's an
preseason
injury,
signing.
yeah, if there's an
sure.
injury to a team, he might get the second go. or
When
the third.
Javonte Williams tears his knee apart in the preseason for the Cowboys, they'll be like, yeah.
I feel sorry for Javonte, man. He was so promising coming into the league, and then
He could,
I knew
he
he. I know we already touched on him. But he blew out his knee, and now he's just never been the same dude.
Yep.
Yeah,
That happens.
Yeah, 100%.
Happens
Does happen.
every day.
Also, Joe Bosa, he then went and signed with the Buffalo Bills. They cut Von Miller, signed Joey Bosa, $12.5 million. I just think that's a great deal for them.
Yep.
It's an upgrade from Von Miller. It's the same sort of deal Von Miller was 3 or 4
Almost
years
exactly.
ago.
That he got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think
Almost
he's going
exactly.
to go there. He's going to be productive. It's a good defensive line with Rousseau, Ed Oliver, Milano, linebacker.
Yeah.
I think
love
Bosa needed this too. He just needed a change of scenery, just to sort of like revamp himself a bit.
I thought it would be the Niners, but they don't want to sign anybody. So
I don't think they can.
the Niners are the Cowboys of the
I
West.
don't know what. Like, can we just briefly?
just with-
Yeah.
what's happening?
Russo also re-signed, got
Yeah,
the
that's a really good
2 year.
re-sign,
I
yep.
think it was 55 mil. Man, like between him and Milano and Ed Oliver, just I love them. They're so
Yeah.
good. The
Yep.
Bills, I might go for the Bills.
I find the Bills are just such a likable team.
Yeah. They just got the hardworking.
Now, if they start winning Super Bowls, if they win 3 Super Bowls,
No,
we'll be
I'm
like,
still
stuff
on.
these
No,
guys.
I'm still on. I'm still
Josh
on.
Allen's so likable, man. He's
pretty
just such
pretty
a
hard to not like him.
Hey, the reason that our back of our t-shirts is tall, white, handsome
Yeah.
gunslinger
Because of him.
for Josh Allen. So
And Herbert.
And Burrow.
I don't think Herbert's as handsome.
Gunslinger, but
Joe Burrow's as handsome.
He's got some real
He's not
acne
as-
on his face.
Where's your drop, Brock?
damn it.
God, he's going
Yeah.
away from the
What-
narrative.
What's happening in the 49ers? I need answers.
All right, yeah. Let's go through the loss.
They're cutting all their players so they can afford to pay a mediocre quarterback $50 million a year.
Have we got all the outs?
No, I don't have the outs actually.
I saw-
Well, we could start. We got obviously Debo went. Kinlaw, was it Kinlaw?
Yeah,
that left?
Kinlaw. Yeah.
Kinlaw was there last year. No, I think he was at the Colts last year. Kinlaw. I think they got him when they drafted. They traded Buckner and got Kinlaw in. I think he was gone last year.
Hargrave's gone.
Hargrave's gone.
Juszczyk's
Juszczyk is
gone.
Yeah,
They're-
that was weird. Like,
They're apparently shopping Ayuk. I don't know if they'll get anything for Ayuk. Like, personally, I don't know if anyone wants to pay.
I think
that
the
salary.
contract. You
Too
can't have
much
you
money.
can't have both things. You can't have the extreme contract and then the injury.
Yeah, they lost. I think Malik Collins, Leonard Floyd.
We're getting to the second tier players.
Yeah, the biggest problem is they haven't signed anybody.
Well, that's because they're Purdy.
Does that make any sense? Like, would you? I guess the holistic thing with if they're cutting salary for Purdy, is that the right move?
Oh yes, as a Seattle fan, please pay him $60 million. Please, I'll be happy to see
No.
the arse end of that franchise.
no, it's not. The
You
right
take that
thing to do.
however you want.
It's very, very.
That's a self burn.
Yeah,
Those are rare.
those are rare.
I can tell you who they have signed. They signed running back Patrick Taylor,
Who?
wide receiver Richie Grant, wide receiver Demarcus Robinson,
Yeah,
tight end Luke Farrell, offensive guard Ben Barch, who's so good they didn't even give us the money on what they extended him for,
Yeah.
and Luke Gifford, the linebacker, who again is so good they couldn't even give us the money for what they signed him for. Is the 49er? I saw this thing today that was the 49ers Super Bowl window is officially closed.
I think it was closed last year when they didn't realize the year before last when they didn't realize the rules.
Yeah,
When they didn't realize that you give Patty Mahomes the ball back after kicking a field goal, I think that was when they were done.
yeah, and they went to I think it was 2 Super Bowls and 2 NFC Championship games in 4 years span.
A lot of extra football on,
Yeah.
on older
And
guys.
this is what happens. Like the magic doesn't last forever.
No.
Unfortunately, at some point, I don't know what the move with Brock Purdy is. If it was me in the building, I'd probably be like, Brock, play next year and test for agency. And then if your market is more the Sam Darnold market, then we can maybe work something out. If your market is more the Dak Prescott market, then we can't work that out. And you go full.
I just don't think he's not worth the money. He's not worth $50 million.
For me, there's always, and the 49er people are going to hate me for this, but there's always like 4 to 5 balls a game that don't come out as a spiral and it almost hits the defender on the chest plate.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just wobbling around the wrong way. And like, you don't even see that in Div 1 college. Like, there's a reason why he was the last drafted guy
Yeah.
because things like this just continuously happen. And he's a product of the system.
Yep.
And
Couldn't agree
when
more.
the system broke down, he didn't look great.
No, I just that when he's a guy that's a fair comparison is he's Jared Goff. If you have a great system around him and players around him,
Yep.
then you can pay him the $50 million a year because you have all the talent around him.
And Purdy looked good when that system was there.
Yeah.
For the majority of the time.
But
when he
last
doesn't-
year was the real sign.
Or even just 3/4 of a game, he looks good. And for 1 quarter, it looks like there's a different guy wearing the same jersey.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, let's move on. Minnesota Vikings. Just want to quickly discuss their moves. They re-signed Aaron Jones, 2 years, $20 million. They bought what a lot of people thought was the best guard in free agency, Will Fries, coming off an injury, but 5 years, $88 million. I think that's a good deal. They signed Ryan Kelly, who's a good
Aging.
weathered center from the Colts for 2 years, $18 million. Jonathan Allen, the D tackle, 3 years,
Huge.
$51 million. Byron Murphy re-signed.
Burnt on toast.
And that was about it. I don't mind Byron Murphy. He's okay. He's not amazing, but they only gave him 3 years. 3 years, $54 million, which is maybe a little bit high.
Carlton
Max value
Davis
was
money.
66, but
Carlton Davis production.
it's kind of the market, unfortunately, for teams that need a corner. I guess they're paying that much. Like all of a sudden, the Trayvon Diggs contract doesn't look that bad for the Cowboys at $12 million. But yes, as I said, I just think looking at this team, and we talked about it with Ben Johnson earlier in the Bears. They know what they're doing. They had a plan last year with McCarthy. Darnold almost saved their plan for the season. He made them good a season earlier, I think.
Sure.
But their plan was to roll with McCarthy, get him on the field, let him play, and then rebuild this team in the offseason. I respect the fact that regardless of what Darnold did, and the money wasn't high for Darnold, and no one would have scoffed at them for tagging him or signing him to that deal, but they've just said, you know what? The plan is the plan still. McCarthy's back healthy. Follow the plan. Quarterback, rookie money. What do you call it? Team money, I think you call it. It's, which is a great phrase. They've got team money in their pocket with a guy like McCarthy. Let's load around him for 3 years and let's spend the money that we're saving, giving Darnold, to give Will Fries, Ryan Kelly, Jonathan Allen, and Aaron Jones, and that improves the team better.
I think with the Vikings as well, what we've seen for their signings, bolstering up the O-line, the last few games of the season where Darnold got absolutely smoked may not all be on Darnold.
Sure.
No.
Like the
So,
O-line's
I think they've-
partly to blame.
Yeah, I think they've seen as an organization, hey, we hung him out to dry a little bit. Teams found out that we had deficiencies and they've just bolstered up that O-line. And you can't knock a team that if those signings don't work, that's fine. But at least you put your money where your mouth is and you go, these are the best guys available. We will pay them to get them in the door and we'll see what happens.
They've tried. Just like the Bears.
They've done the
tried.
exact same thing as the
Yeah.
Bears. They've seen the deficiencies and they've bolstered up every aspect of
Can't
it.
knock
No.
a team for trying.
No,
It's good management. They're doing the right
it's the
thing.
opposite of the Patriots.
Yeah,
That's what I was saying before. That's what I was bagging them. Just like, what have they done to
Yeah.
help their young quarterback? At least the Vikings have done it the right way. They're helping their young quarterback now.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. All right, I'm going to do a few rapid fire. Giants bring back Darius Slayton for 3 years, $36 million. That's an outrageous contract for a third string receiver, but is what it is.
It's only because there's no speedy receivers in the draft and in free agency. So if you're one of those guys, you're going to get overpaid.
Yeah. Lions signed the free agent darling cornerback in DJ Reed. I actually really liked this. They also signed, it hasn't come up on the sheet yet because I don't think the numbers are reported yet. They also signed DeMarcus Lawrence from the Cowboys, who we all know I love him. I think he's a perfect fit for them. He can play on the edge. He can play 3 tech. He can do anything you ask. I think he's got a couple of years left in him. He might not have to play a ton. He won't have to play all the reps at the lines, but he can be a really good situation.
Just put him in on third down.
Do you know what's good with that? That Hutchinson is going to demand all the O-line attention and he can just go against the third best lineman or whatever.
Just
You
shift
move
him
him
around where it
around
was
to the
advantageous.
weakness.
Yep.
It's no secret that Lawrence's best season was after the Cowboys drafted Micah Parsons.
Yes.
That's when his 2 best years were Micah Parsons'
Yep.
first 2 seasons in the NFL, as a pass rusher in particular. Panthers improved secondary signing Trevon Moehrig from the Raiders, 3 years, $51 million.
Don't mind him.
They
He's
also re-signed JC Horn, who's a
I
top
love Horn.
corner,
Yep.
This was
4
good.
years, $100 million. Again, when you've got guys like Carlton Davis getting $20 million a year, I think getting JC Horn for 25 a year is a bargain.
Yeah.
It's a bargain. He's regretting signing before the other guys do.
yeah. Yep.
Because he probably could have got 30 million.
You 100 minutes. You'd be happy, man.
But if you hit the open market, if Carlton Davis is getting 20, he's probably getting 30 in the
no
open
doubt.
market. But again, he stays in his team. He's doing the right thing.
Absolute gun.
Chris Godwin re-signs. He returns to Tampa Bay.
I
3
love
years,
this.
$66 million, $44 million guaranteed. That's the Bucks looking after a dude.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's them going, hey, you're our guy. We think you're going to recover fine. We're all in on you. Here's your first 2 years are
Here's
loaded.
the money up front. Yep.
Because if they didn't think he was going to recover properly, they'd be like, we're not giving you any guarantee.
I think what the Bucks do different to a lot of organizations, and I respect the hell out of it, they keep their guys in the door.
Yeah.
They're like, all right, like Levante David re-signs.
Prime
Probably
example.
could have cut him. He hasn't played up to where he has played previously. He's not as good as what his name is or was. They're like, hey, you're going to be in the Ring of Honor, probably with Godwin.
Yep.
We'll keep you guys here. You retire a buck.
Yeah.
I
actually
respect
it.
that. Yep.
They
I like
also
it.
bought in Hassan Reddick on a 1-year deal.
Bit of a prove it
But
deal.
for not a lot of money either. I think a motivated Hassan Reddick could be valuable as an edge rusher.
Sure.
But personally, I think that's
And if it
works.
works, great. And if not, you've got him in the door for nothing. So
Yep.
whatever.
Yeah, I think that's, again, I think the Godwin move's so good.
What was
said
the
last week.
Reddick? Was it like 12 million or something?
I think it was less. I don't think it was much at all.
I think it was around 9 million, I think.
Oh, I take a
it'd
swing.
be
Why wouldn't
here-
you get talent in?
Levante David was 1 year, 10 million.
Yep.
Hassan Reddick was 14 million, 12 million guaranteed
Yep,
for 1 year.
right.
So it's a 1 year deal where basically like you play your ass off for us.
Yep.
Someone's going to give you a big contract for the rest of
Or
like
it could,
your last
or it
couple
could be
years.
us.
Or it could be us
Yeah.
if you play really well. Last couple, Cardinals sign pass rusher Josh Sweat from the Eagles, 4 years, $77 million.
I think this is too much money.
I think so too.
Yeah.
This is too dear.
Yeah.
Rinse and repeat the same thing we said about Williams. Borderline starter, gets poached by a team, not as good. Play out of position, he gets overpaid, gets cut.
He was good on a good D line, on a good defense.
Had a great playoff run.
Had a great Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Great
he should have
playoffs.
been MVP.
Great
Yep.
Super Bowl. He's obviously earned that money through that play, so good on him.
Yep.
But I just don't think he's going to be as good.
He's the guy
So
that
garbage.
could be on a new team in 2 years. That's
Yeah.
the sort. That's what I believe. Could be.
Yep.
Last one is one I want to discuss a little bit. Devontae Adams signs a 2-year, $40 million contract, $43 million contract with the Rams. I personally loved this.
I'm
I
gonna.
think he's an upgrade on Cooper Kupp.
Can I give you my take?
Yeah.
I like the player.
Yep.
I like the signing. I like the team that he went to.
Yep.
Just too much money. I think it's a little bit too expensive.
But if you look at his production and what receivers are getting paid around that amount, he outperforms the receivers at
Sure.
$20 million a year.
Yeah.
So I agree with everything you said.
The
The
fit
situation
is perfect. Yeah.
And the fit, and then another old receiver with Nakua as well,
Mm.
just soak up experience, all that sort of stuff. I think the money's bang on for where
yeah.
he.
Okay. That's fair.
You probably could have got. He probably could have gone to a better team cheaper, like
Sure.
a Chiefs or
Yeah.
a contender cheaper, or he could have gone to a shitter team for more money. I think this is bang on.
I think
Yeah,
it's
that's
like
fair.
it's the middle ground for him.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it's gonna be a good move.
I think he's going to be really good.
He's better than Cooper Kupp. He's going to be an upgrade of Cooper Kupp purely based off last season.
Yep.
I don't think anyone's going to want Cooper Kupp because they're going to cut him when the league year starts, which is in about
Tomorrow.
6 hours,
Yeah.
which is outrageous when we've just talked about all these signings and it's only the legal tampering
So-
period.
Shout out to the NFL agents within 30 seconds getting all these contracts signed
Yeah, they're very
in the legal tampering period.
It's maniac. Isn't it?
Those phones must be ringing red hot
Apparently,
for 30 seconds.
Adam Schefter tweeted 37 signings 35 seconds into the legal
Had 'em
tampering
preloaded.
period
Oh,
starting.
wow.
He had him in his real.
So even
Ready
so,
to
the
go.
agent speaks to the franchise obviously, and then the player, and then to Adam Scheffler, all within 30 seconds. That's impressive.
Speed. I haven't seen.
that's
I
efficiency.
haven't seen speed like that since I made my second kid.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the movie.
Hey-o.
Underrated movie.
Yeah.
All right. Anything we want to finish up on, boys? Are we all good?
I love this time of year.
So yeah, this is fun. Next week we're gonna do our power rankings next week. So we're gonna do our
Yep.
first iteration of our power rankings. In that,
Pre-draft
we'll-
powering.
yeah, we'll talk more about why teams have climbed and dropped and where we think they're at with their free agency, whether they, winners or losers of free agency by where we rank them.
You're going to find our bias against teams we don't like real quick.
Yeah, the Cowboys are going to be
No, we'll
fucking
try-
30
We'll
seconds.
try and keep
Fuck
it
the
unbiased.
Yeah.
As I said, we all agree we put the Eagles at 32. So when
Yeah.
George puts them at 1,
We'll
It
keep,
Jump
evens
like
out.
middle.
Yeah,
we'll
yeah,
keep
yeah.
them. We'll keep it unbiased. We
nah,
will.
keep it unbiased. Hey, I'm the master of unbiased. I'm genuinely putting the Cowboys like 25. I think they're going to be terrible. No, Brocky, thanks for you on the 1s and 2s tonight, mate. We love the new drop. It's a great drop.
Yep.
We're trying to get things a bit cleaner. The video production, I got to say, Brock's already worked out more about StreamYard, which is what we use for all our video
Brock's the man, bro.
in
That's why
about
he's-
2 weeks, and I've done in 5 years. So
That's why he's the man.
I knew I made the right signing, giving him the 3 years, 45 mil for the contract.
Jesus, I haven't
Yeah,
spent
no,
that money yet.
I shouldn't have told you,
The
boys. how
monopoly
low
money.
You guys are now going to come to me and hold out.
None of it's guaranteed, apparently.
So I'm playing it smart. I'm letting all the other contracts go out first, and then I'm going to
You're gonna
reset the market.
Scotty's getting paid in Zins.
All right. Hey, make sure you don't like anything we write. You don't like any of our opinions on our clips. We are not going to be offended. Abuse us. Tell us we're wrong. I think conversation about football is fun at any point, whether you agree with me
Yeah,
or not.
comment, bro.
I'm always happy. to
We've
have a
got more
conversation.
time to troll you guys than what we do to put into the podcast. So come at us.
Yeah, David Holmes found out the very hard way
Oh,
that if
did he
you're
ever?
going to shoot the king, you better not miss.
He scrubbed his social
Apparently
media.
deleted everything on social media when
Wow.
Brock went hard at him for being bald. I know, which is rich in this room.
Take his hat off.
All right, guys. Thanks you very much. Thanks to the boys. Peace out, everyone.
Peace.
Ciao.